Which is good.
Okay, when you go to
Testing, testing, testing. Let's see. Okay, sounds 12. Okay. All right, Shalom, Israel. Shalom Yahabashim Shabarakathum to the brothers. Shalom Yahabashim Alatabashim Yahushai to the sisters. We are the ISUPK Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And we teach that all so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are God's chosen people according to the Bible. Now, today, let's see, it's February 14th. So in America, what was yesterday? Oh, yeah, you want to take your, Salakia. That's my fault. Oh, what you got?
Valentine's Day.
There you go. So yesterday was what, a pagan holiday, Valentine's Day, right? So do a little quick recap, right? Can anybody tell me a little bit about Valentine's Day? Like the history behind Valentine's Day. Nobody? Okay, so I'll give y'all a quick little rundown. So Valentine's Day, do you know that it's actually about homosexuality? I know that throws off some people, right? So just give a little bit of brief history of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, y'all know like ancient Rome, Greece, like the Spartans. So back then, you know, white people, right? They believed that if you loved, like, okay, I just want to set the record straight real quick. You got brotherly love, and then you got the love, of course, that you would have, like, you know, for your wife, right? Now, these men at the time, right, they believed that if you were to have sexual intercourse with the man that you are going to war with, you would grow to love them. You get my point? Like, actually love them, like how you would love your wife. The reason behind it, their reason anyway, was because they thought, okay, if I actually, quote unquote, love this man, I'm going to fight harder for him. So the whole point of it was homosexuality. To get a little deeper into it, I forgot his name. If anybody wants to look it up, the man's name, Slag, I can't remember the name of him right now, but what he did was, Slag, sir.
The two soldiers?
So the two soldiers?
It's Paulo Varicious.
Paulo Varicious. Paulo Varicious. Yeah. Okay, the water, sir. So I got you just one moment.
Pollo and Varicious.
Okay, sir, the water. So to break it all down for you, these men, right, loved each other. Like homosexuality loved each other. So what they did was when he killed his enemy, he cut out his heart and gave it to his lover. Hence you see the symbol, the heart for Valentine's Day, right? Also, that heart, like we all seen a human heart, right? That heart doesn't look like an actual heart. Do you want to know what it actually looks like? What you got, brother?
Is it supposed to be like a woman bent over?
Give that brother a hand. So, and I know you had your hand raised. You had a question, brother?
Oh yeah, when it comes to I read something today, when it come to the homosexuality part, I heard that before 1974 that used to be looked at as mental illness.
That is a mental illness. So I got you. That's a good comment to make. So I forgot the book, but they actually made it to where homosexuality is no longer a mental illness. But let's just break down homosexuality real quick, right? Okay, it takes a man and a woman to create a child, right? I mean, we've all been through sex education, whatever. And I mean, come on now. A man and a man can't have sex with one another and create a child. A woman and a woman cannot have sex with each other and create a child. It's impossible. But let's get down to the mental illness. Think about this. Have you ever heard the term, it could be let's use a brother, right? Let's say it's a man and he makes a comment saying that he thinks that he is a woman in a man's body. Have you ever heard that before? Okay, and vice versa. A woman thinking that she's a man in a woman, a man in a woman's body. That is a mental illness. Okay, a lot of that comes from child molestation. Kids today, not even today, Salakia, for a very long time, sex is constantly pushed on our kids, right? And it was like the subliminals. I mean, you could think of some of the things that you might have seen as a child, right? You could look at today and it just gets worse and worse and worse. You got to be careful with what you put on Netflix nowadays. You got to have the little child lock app. What you got, brother?
Yeah, for the homosexuality part, science look at it as a mental illness or a behavioral disorder, but I feel like spiritual advisors, they pinpoint it as demon.
So that mental illness is a demon. It's all comes together. That is a demon. That demon gets put on them at a very young age, usually, right? Because it's a kid. Kids are very impressionable. You could teach them anything and they're gonna follow it. If a child, and this happens a lot, sadly, within our communities, is sexually assaulted at a very young age, let's say it's a boy, and his uncle touches him when he's a young boy, he cannot cognitively think that is wrong. He doesn't understand what's going on. So as he gets older, he's going to think that, oh, well, such and such, touch me, men like me. So I guess that's what I'm for. I guess I like men. And then what a lot of people don't like to admit, right? Matter of fact, I got you, the LGBTQ community, right? Did you know that over 48% of women that identify as bisexual or lesbian have been sexually assaulted between the ages of 11 and I believe it's 18? That's a fact, by the way, too. That comes from their community. They admitted that. You understand? So you got to look at the spirit behind Valentine's Day. And what the brother brought up earlier, yes, that heart, like I said, it's not an actual heart. That heart is, I'm not going to get too vulgar because, we do have a young lady here, but it's a woman bent over. That shape, you understand? Actually, Salakia, if anybody wants to look up, I got you, sir. Karamashak, do you mind looking up Eros? It's EROS in Google. And Salakia, sir, you had your hand up?
Kind of just like just to touch on what you're bringing out. I have an article here that touches on that too, about the heart being the back of a woman.
Oh, Sir, go ahead.
It's okay. So this is from Live Journal, and it says Galdino Pranzarone, Rono College in Salem, PA, told Discovery News that he analyzed essential literary and speculative evidence from mythology and secondary sources, which led to his theory. He believes one rather obvious bit of evidence is that the heart symbol does not directly duplicate the heart human organ.
Right.
The twin lobes of the stylized version correspond roughly to the paired auricles and ventricles chambers of the anatomical heart. Renzarone said, but added that the organ is never bright red in color, and its shape does not have the invagination at the top nor the sharp point at the base. Prazone indicated that the ancient Greeks and Romans could have originated the line between the human female anatomy and the heart shape. The Greeks, he said, associated beauty with the curves of the human female behind. The Greek goddess of beauty, Aphrodite, was beautiful all over, but was unique in that her buttocks were especially beautiful, he explained. Her shapely rounded hemispheres were so appreciated by the Greeks that they built a special temple, Aphrodite Kilikikos, which literally meant goddess with the beautiful buttocks.
Man, so that's Slagia, sir, if I may. That's literally what it means?
Yeah, Aphrodite Kilikikos, which literally meant goddess with the beautiful buttocks.
Wow.
I'll stop right there.
Good night. The water, sir, for that. You got Eros in Google. If you don't mind reading the definition for that.
This is Eros in Google. Eros was the mischievous god of love, a minion and constant companion of the goddess Aphrodite.
Of who?
Aphrodite.
And what? Okay, so Priest and Officer Ashka Ward just read about Aphrodite, right? And now we're reading about Eros. Go ahead.
It was he who lit the flame of love in the hearts of the gods and men,
Mm-hmm.
armed with either a bow and arrows or a flaming torch.
So a bow and arrow. Okay, so what symbol? Okay, Valentine's Day. Who has a bow and arrow? Go ahead. Cupid, right? So to break it all down, right? I'm not gonna spend too much time on Valentine's Day. The whole spirit behind Valentine's Day is actually based off of homosexuality and lust. To break it down even further, a lot of our people, right? First of all, we're not supposed to be celebrating pagan holidays as it is. So Valentine's Day, it seems harmless, right? You know, you buy some chocolates, some candy for your woman, take her out on a date, etc., etc. It's supposed to be a nice evening with your lady. At least that's what Esau tries to paint it as, when actually the spirit behind it is lust. Because you got to also think there's a lot of sisters who might not have a man, right? But then Valentine's Day comes along, and now it's the pressure. They feel embarrassed. I'll share something with you. I spoke about this with a few brothers. So this is when I was in the world, right? There was a sister at my slave. This sister did not have a man at the time, right? Didn't really think nothing of it. Valentine's Day comes around. The sister brings cupcakes, chocolates, a little Valentine's Day card, all that stuff. So of course the impression is, her man bought it for her. Little did I know, the sister never had a man. And she lied to everyone, saying that her man bought all those things for her. That sister was very depressed. Some sisters go as far as to committing suicide. And I know it sounds extreme. I cannot make this up. This happens within our community, right? Also, a lot of predators out there take advantage of this. Men in the world take advantage of this. Some of these sisters are so desperate to have a man on Valentine's Day just for one night, right? In the Bible, sex is marriage. For one night, they need a man. So a lot of brothers in the world, or just men in general, they was like, okay, well, this is my opportunity. I'm going to get me a woman tonight. I'll buy her some chocolates, whatever. Okay, you buy her out. You prostitute her. You have sex with her, and then you go on about your business. Valentine's Day is over, and now that sister goes back to not having a man in her life. That's Valentine's Day. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day, okay? So that's enough on that, but I'll give you a brief rundown about Esther and what the Feast of Purim is actually about. So let's see. If I could. Go ahead, sir.
If I could just bring out, I have a little thing here on my phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says total expected Valentine's Day spendings in the United States from 2009 to 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2022, it's 23.9 billion.
Wow.
So they're making money off of us celebrating this pagan holiday.
If y'all didn't hear Priest and Officer Ashpur, you can say that one more time, sir?
So this is statistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Statista. U.S. Valentine's Day sales 2009 through 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Planned Valentine's Day spending in the United States was expected to reach approximately 24 billion US dollars in 2022. This is an increase of about $2 billion from 2021. And Valentine's Day is celebrated every year on February 14 and is commonly considered the most romantic holiday of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2022, they're expected to have sales up to 23.9 billion US dollars.
$23.9 billion for Valentine's Day? Valentine. Wow. So $23.9 billion of our money is going towards Valentine's Day. Imagine what that money could actually do for our communities. But we spending that on, chocolates and flowers and, all that garbage. But Slakia, the water for that, sir. So if I could, okay. Can anybody give me a quick recap about the book of Esther from yesterday, right? Everything that we went over. Just so of what you know. Karam Shop.
Basically, the book of Esther, she was a Israelite sister Judah.
Mm-hmm.
And she she was chosen to be the wife of
You got
I
it.
forgot his name, Slagi, but
You
the
swap.
king of Persia at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Mordecai. That was Esther's. I believe he took her on as a daughter, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Mordecai, he went ahead and I guess it was between Haman, Mordecai, and Esther. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and Haman, he didn't like Mordecai, and he wanted to put slaughter to him. Then Esther went ahead and spoke up. You know, after her speak up to her husband. You know, even in fear of her life. And yeah, he basically got hung on his own gallows that he built. Basically.
Nah, Most High in Christ. Give that brother a hand. So just to give you a quick rundown, brother. So just to go a little bit more into detail. So at this time, right? At this time, we were under, well, at the time, it was the Persians and the Medes. Today, you would know them as the Iranians. So we were living in a different nation, kind of like today, America, right? Esau, who's a so-called white man today, he runs America right now. So we were living in a different nation at the time. So at this time, there was a king by the name of King Ahasuerus. You could also know him as King Artaxerxes. You can read that in the Apocrypha. So at this time, right, there was a certain woman whose name was Esther. She was a Benjamite woman. Benjamites are the so-called West Indians today. So Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, the islands, right? So at this time, the brother, what he was bringing out was, it was Mordecai. Mordecai was her family. He took her as a daughter at the time because, you know, sadly her parents passed away. So at this time, King Ahasuerus had a queen. Her name was Vashti. Vashti disobeyed and embarrassed King Ahasuerus. If anybody wants to say what she did, what you got, brother?
He was trying to show her off to like all the other people
Mhm.
in the kingdom, and she said no when she even told her to come out and show herself to everybody. Not everybody, like a certain man,
Now,
a certain group of men.
now, why was that? Why did that embarrass him? Go ahead.
Because, like you guys said yesterday, the queen could tell the king no that
Mm-hmm.
all the women in the kingdom would think they could do the same to their husband. So it was like a chain reaction.
Give that brother a hand. See, everybody been paying attention. Okay. So yes, what the brother said is true. So at this time, Vashti, think of it like this. You know, he was very proud of his woman. Also, Artaxerxes was not a brother, by the way. He was a Persian king. So we were living in captivity under a heathen king, right? Kind of like today, your presidents, same difference. So he tried to show off his woman, Vashti, who was the queen at the time. She disobeyed him and embarrassed him in front of everybody. And the reason why this caused such an uproar was because, like the brother said, if the queen can tell the king no, well, all the other women in the nation, they're going to see that and be like, oh, well, the queen ain't listening to the king, so why should I listen to my husband? So they had to cut all that out. So what did King Ahasuerus do? He got rid of Vashti, and he wanted a new queen to take her place. So he sent all his men out to find the most beautiful women in the nation, in a sense, virgins. Now, before I continue, I ask you, what's your name again, brother? Is it what is it? Edward. Okay, I'll ask you a question. What do you think virgin means?
Virgin means to me someone without sexual income.
Okay. So we'll read. See, anybody got their Zondervans with them? Oh, you got your Zondervans? Okay, if you could, Karam Shah, can you look up the definition of virgin in the Zondervans Bible Dictionary? So there's a reason why I asked you that question.
Where can I get myself a Bible dictionary?
A Zondervan, you can order it on. Matter of fact, you can order it on Amazon. They're not that expensive. But it's good to get one because there's a lot of words. No, they got them. Yeah, you can order them on Amazon. But yeah, it's very good to have one because there's a lot of words that got misconstrued over time. So you got to look at the actual biblical definition of it. You got virgin for me?
Come on.
Okay, can you read the definition of virgin in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary? Baba Kasha.
Come. The definition of virgin in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
A young woman of marriageable age, whether married or not.
That's it on that?
Come.
Okay, so a young woman of marriageable age, whether she was married or not. So in this context, pretty much they're just looking for fair young women. That's all. Whether if they, it's like you said, whether if they were married or not. Okay, so he's just looking for fair young women. That's all. So he's looking for beautiful women throughout the land to take the place of Vashti, his queen. So of these women, they found Esther. Now, Esther was a Benjamite, so-called West Indian today. She was an Israelite, right? Now, here's the thing. The Jews, who are us, right? They were living in the land at the time. However, she did not reveal that she was a Hebrew. So before I continue with that, if I could real quick, could I get, let's see, what is it? Could I get 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 42? And then I'm going to read, let me see. If somebody else can get 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 4. Baba Kasha.
Like you said, for the first one?
1 Kings chapter 17, verse 42. I believe it's that one. And the second one is 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 4. Let me just double check. But just let me know when you got it.
You said 17. So like what's verse?
42.
42.
Go ahead, read it.
So like it's no 42.
So it's not that one?
Nah,
Try set Salaki. Let me see. If it's not that one.
that was for First King, right?
Try 2 Kings. 2 Kings 17 and 42. Pretty much the reason why I want to go over this is that the Lord does not care about what your complexion is. The Lord cares about what your lineage is. So as in like today's society, okay, I'll talk about black people, for example. Black people are called what? African Americans, right? Are black people African? No, we're not African. According to the Bible, Africans come from who?
Him.
You said who? No, what'd you say?
I want to say him, Shem or something.
No, what was the first one you said?
Him?
Give that brother a hand. Yes, it's Ham.
Him.
Yes. So Africans are the Hamites in the Bible, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, matter of fact, where my Zondervan's at? Lock here.
I on the table like there, we pull some up in there.
Let me see. I put him to the side. Slovakia.
They're down there. Look.
Yeah, Slovakia. Let me grab that real quick. Let me show you something. Zondervan's. Yeah. This is no, not this one. You got it on the shot?
Salagi is it's on it only goes for 41.
41. What? Okay, Slovakia. Don't worry about it then. But I'll show you something real quick. We're gonna look up Ham in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. Let's see. Ham. Slovakia. This is not mine. Okay, here we go. Slovakia. Okay, so this is Ham according to the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. The youngest son of Noah, born primarily about 96 years before the flood and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. You understand? So right there, it's showing you a difference between so-called black people today and Africans, but it keeps going though. So it also says, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and Canaanites. Now, in the book of Exodus, right, just for time's sake, the book of Exodus, we were in captivity under who? The Egyptians, right? That's just showing again that black people we're not African. We're not African. We were actually enslaved by Africans. So let's just clear that all up right now, right? So-called black Hispanics and Native Indians are God's chosen people according to the Bible. And we came from Shem. So you actually right on the second part too. We came from the lineage of Shem, not Ham, but Salakia. But going back to Esther, right? The reason why I wanted to go over that is because Esther, right, she did not reveal that she was a Hebrew at first, meaning that there were other people that lived at that time. Just like today, you got other nations of people that look similar to us, right? You see Africans, like, at least from a difference, Salakia, I don't want to say up close, because Africans look crazy. But Africans from far away, it's kind of hard to tell, like, who are they? Are they black or, you got some people out there who might look Mexican, but they're not actually Mexican, or vice versa, you understand? So she was able to hide that she was a Hebrew at the time. Later on, she does end up becoming the wife of Ahasuerus, right? However, there was a man that worked under Ahasuerus. If anybody remembers his name, Priest Noster Ashkawar. Oh, Slagia, go ahead, Problem Shop.
I was going to add, that brother has a terrible name. That's an ugly name.
Honestly.
Like a disease.
He was a heathen. It was a Persian. So, but go ahead, Problem Shop. What you got? Haman. Okay, so Haman. So Haman was an Agagite, and I believe that's still Esau. But the whole point was Haman worked under Ahasuerus. Haman had a very big issue with Mordecai. If anybody knows why do you have an issue with Mordecai? What you got, brother?
Mordecai didn't bow to Haman when he entered the room, so he didn't give him reference.
Exactly. So he did not bow to Haman at that time. Now, here's the cold part about Mordecai, right? Mordecai knew that he was a Hebrew Israelite. Now, even though he lived with other nations, right? And just so I could paint a picture for you, right? When you read Esther, in Esther, this is the king we're talking about, like Persian kings. Like, don't look at like these old movies and think like they were just walking around looking like Tarzan with loincloths and stuff. No, they had gold and all these rubies. Like, they were living very lavishly. This was the king's palace. You understand? Now, Mordecai was around the palace. Now, even though he was around the palace and Haman was the man that was directly under the king, all the other men bowed to him, right? He had a real big ego. Mordecai didn't care. To him, he was just some heathen, right? Okay, yeah, we work together. Yeah, you might be my boss, whatever, but I'm not going to bow to you. He wasn't a kiss ass. Do you understand? Right? So the cool part about that is, in today's age, we have a lot of brothers and sisters that are in office, that are very high up, music industry, celebrities, right? They have a lot of money, and they're sellouts.
That's right.
They're sellouts. A lot of people look up to people like, I'll talk about it real quick. Kanye West. Y'all see what's going on with that brother, right?
Yes, sir.
Kanye West, look, first of all, we all know that Kim Kardashian was a whore to begin with anyway. But he took so much pride in it, right? That was his wife, had kids with her. Well, okay, well, she's sleeping with somebody else now. So now, hold on. Now, we just passed Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, right? I believe he had Julia Fox. That was her name. He was with Julia Fox. I just found out yesterday that they broke up. But I thought, it's Valentine's Day. Love is in the air, right? No. Also, you shouldn't be messing with heathen women. You understand? So the whole point with that is Don't look up to people like Kanye West and Jay-Z and Beyonce and all that. Yes, I know it looks nice because they're not in the ghettos no more. They got millions. I know Jay-Z, he a billionaire now, Slovakia. But the whole point is don't look up to them. Go ahead.
Well, to my recollection of you saying don't look up to them,
Mm-hmm.
I want to refer to point out God. He don't use man on high status like that. He use God, normal God like you and I, out of the blood.
So, okay, if I could real quick. One thing you need to understand is that me and you, we're not gods. We're God's chosen people.
No, not God. I'm saying God used men like us.
Like, what do you mean?
Instead of like guys on Kanye West and Jay-Z status, he used simple guys like you and I out of the mud to deliver his message. In other words, you don't have to be on that type of status. Most of the guys is for show, actually.
Okay. So now, can you name somebody out of the Bible that would fit that status?
Jesus.
There you go. Get that brother in. Because you know the image that they paint of Jesus Christ, right? They show you a white man. You know the name of that white man?
Not by heart.
Caesar Borgia. Caesar Borgia, and guess what? He was a homosexual that also committed incest with his sister. That's the image that they put out for us, right? What they won't tell you is that Jesus Christ was from the hood. Just like me, you. He came from the hood, just like everybody else, right? And Jesus Christ, look, he wasn't, or Salakia, Yahushua Mashiach in the Bible, right? That's his actual name. He didn't look, like Caesar Borgia. He didn't look all, smooth hair, and he looked rough. It said that he was an austere man. You know what austere is? Stern. He was a very stern, masculine brother. And at the time, he wasn't really too pretty to look at. But didn't worry about that. Because Christ is the perfect brother. You understand? Another brother that I could bring up, King David. King David, it says that he was of fair countenance and that he was ruddy. If I could real quick, could you look up ruddy in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary? So this brother right here, he tended to the sheep. And a lot of people kind of felt some type like, this is the man that's going to be king? This guy. Some little pretty boy who's tending to the sheep. Meanwhile, he had brothers. You understand? You got to think like how men think carnally. When we think of like a warrior, you think of like a big, like burly brother, probably got like battle scars. Like he looked kind of rough. Like you don't really want to mess with this kind of dude right here. That's how man thinks. But let's see. Oh, go ahead and look up. You got ready for me?
Come on. The definition of ready in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary: a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews.
Now, if I could, brother, what do you think that means?
You gotta run it by me again.
Go ahead, read it one more time for me. I used to walk.
Ready, a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in a contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. Now,
just remember, this is talking about King David. So, off of that description of King David, what do you think King David looked like?
Black man.
He was a black man. Now,
like status wise,
his appearance.
I want to say rugged.
You said what?
I'm sorry, rugged.
Rugged? Okay, no. Okay, so I'll break it down to you like this. So when it says ruddy, it said, was it red?
Come.
And then read it again, Salakia, one more time.
Come. A word used to refer to a red or fair complexion.
Okay, stop right there. Red or fair complexion. The complexion. What do you think King David looked like? As far as his complexion. He was a black man, but his complexion though. Okay, what'd you say?
Light skinned.
There you go. Light skin. Okay. The brother was, I hate calling him this, no disrespect to King David, but he was like a light-skinned pretty boy. Salakia. That's Salakia. I don't like saying that, but I don't really know how else to describe him. Yes, he was a light-skinned pretty boy. Going back to what I was saying before, that We judge a man based off of his appearance, right? But here we got, he wasn't even King David at the time. He was David, just David, right? And he was a light-skinned pretty boy who was tending to the sheep. He was a shepherd, right? The Lord wasn't concerned about his physical appearance. He was concerned about his character. That's what he was worried about. So you got to keep that in mind, you know, Slagia. Don't worry about judging brothers and sisters mainly off of their appearance, right? Also, another thing I wanted to bring up, a lot of brothers, Salagia, especially Judites, Salagia, I'm Judah, they think that all Hebrews are dark skinned. All Hebrews are just they all black, dark skinned, right? No. If I may, Priest and Officer Ashka Ward from the tribe of Issachar, he's a lighter brother. Now, some people like to think that Hispanics aren't God's chosen people. Yes, they are. Also, going back to Judah, do all black people look the same? Exactly. And that's in the Bible. And I know some people will say, well, you know, maybe he's mixed. What do they say, mulatto or all that garbage? Well, he was a Judite and he had black parents, but he was light skinned. His son, King Solomon, he was a dark skinned brother. You get my point? Like we're not worried about your complexion. We're worried about if you are a Hebrew by birth. You understand? Go ahead.
And ain't that based on the heritage of your father?
Somebody give me, matter of fact, give me the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18.
Okay.
So you're right, by the way. But we're just gonna go into the Bible just to prove it, right? So yeah, the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18.
What chapter?
The book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18.
The book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18.
Go ahead.
And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers.
The house of their who?
By the house of their fathers.
Go ahead.
According to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their polls.
Okay, you can stop right there. So the house of their father. The seed comes from your father. You understand? So according to the Bible, we're reading the Bible, right? There's no such thing as mixed. You understand? That's a big confusion with our people. We're so concerned about our complexion. That's what we're worried about. We think, okay, it's okay. I know. I mean, I've seen both sides. You got darker skinned brothers who feel like lighter skinned brothers. Well, you're not one of us. You know, you a house Negro. You understand? We in the field. And vice versa. You see lighter skinned Hebrews who feel like, oh, well, you know, I'm lighter than you. I'm closer to being white. So I'm better than you. You're lower than me. You see the hate between us? That's the problem. What you got, problem shot?
Salakia, sir, just to piggyback off what you're saying.
Go ahead.
If I could. They also, just with the word mix itself, that's just another way of confusing it.
Exactly. Exactly. No, what the brother brought out was exactly correct because you can read that in the Willie Lynch letters. Turn light skin against dark skin, all that garbage, right? Now, according to the Bible, you are an Israelite by birth of your, whatever the seed of your father is, right? And vice versa. If I could, real quick, just to stress it to the sisters, look, okay, you could go into what? I believe it was like 1 Kings chapter 7, and you could read about Solomon. Solomon messed with strange women, right? Now, he was a very wise brother, one of the wisest brothers, right? Other than Christ, of course. But he messed with strange women, and that ended up being his downfall. You understand? He was never supposed to do that. Matter of fact, if I could, I don't want to get too off topic, but the whole point is he messed with strange women, right? But you can still, I'm not telling you to do this. However, you can still pass your seed through a strange woman. I'm not telling you to sleep with a strange woman. I got you 1 minute, brother. Okay, I just want to make that very clear. Don't go off somewhere and be like, well, Officer Itazan told me that. No, don't do that. Okay, God forbids you. And if I can stress it for the sisters real quick, the seed comes from the man. So if a black woman gets with a Chinese man, what's that baby gonna be?
Chinese.
There you go. The baby gonna be Chinese. That's your baby, yes, but that's not your nation, if that makes sense. All right, but go ahead, brother. I know you had your hand up.
I was going to ask if I could use your pen. Then also I wanted to ask what scripture was that when it comes to Numbers when it's talking about the seed of your father?
Numbers 1 and 18. You say you need a pen?
So like it's, I'm getting
Oh, okay. No, no sweat.
Take these notes.
No, most high in Christ. Go ahead. Yeah, Numbers 1 and 18.
Appreciate
That's what saying that you come from the house of your father.
it. 118, correct?
1 and 18. Mhm. But if I could real quick, I don't want to get too off topic. We'll go back to Esther, right? Going back to the history of Esther. So Haman hated Mordecai because he refused to bow down to him, right? So what did Haman want to do? Haman wanted to kill Mordecai. But hold up, it's worse than that. Slagia. Matter of fact, it was worse than that. He didn't just want to kill Mordecai. He wanted to kill all the Hebrews, all of them. Now, if I could real quick, that just shows the nature of other nations, right? Anytime that you could read about it, okay, in Exodus, when Pharaoh had us into captivity, Moses and Aaron were sent to him to tell him to let go of the children of Israel, right? And you got to understand at this time, it's not like today where, some people just don't believe in the Most High, right? But the Most High is very real, and he's going to show you that he's very real. At this time, Pharaoh and other nations, they knew of the Most High. And Pharaoh was so cocky, he thought of himself as a god. So even though God was telling him to not have these people in captivity anymore, Pharaoh said, like, man, F that. I'm Pharaoh. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And because of that, Egypt was destroyed. Now, Haman had the same spirit in a sense, right? He didn't like Mordecai, so he just wanted to exterminate all the Jews, all of them, all because Mordecai didn't want to bow down to him. He wasn't a kiss ass or a brown noser, if you will. You understand? So this is where Esther comes in. Now, remember, Esther is a family member of Mordecai. However, now she is King Ahasuerus' wife. He takes her wife now. So now she's kind of stuck in a predicament because now it's like, okay, I'm the queen, but now I'm hearing about this man who's willing to kill all my people. And again, Haman was directly under King Ahasuerus, so he had the power to do it. So now Mordecai talked to Esther, told her what was going on. So Esther had to make a very grave choice. Esther had to figure out a way to save her people. But remember, she didn't show that she was a Jew. So now she had to show that she was a Jew to her king, to her husband, if you will. So now, I'm trying to like as much of the recap as I can right now. So now she goes to King Ahasuerus. She reveals that she is a Hebrew Israelite. She's a Benjamite, right? She also reveals that there's been a hit that's going to come out on her people. Now, at this time, King Ahasuerus, he's not really minding what's going on right now. However, he wakes up during the night. And he realizes that there were records of Mordecai. Now, if I could real quick, what did Mordecai do for the king? If anybody remembers. Go ahead.
Two of the king's chamberlains, the men that opened the door for him or guarding the doors of his bedroom were plotting to kill the king. And Mordecai overheard him and spoke up to him and then got the guards dealt with.
Right. So at this time, he talks of these two guards. He tells Esther, right? Esther tells the king. So he finds out, gets those men dealt with, right? Because they were conspiring against the king. However, this is the king. He's, worried about other things. He didn't really remember Mordecai at that time until the night that he woke up. He looked throughout the records and saw that Mordecai was the one that revealed that these men were going to kill him. So now he's like, oh, well, we got to do something great for this man. Well, this man saved my life.
Right.
And he's wondering, hey, like, what have we done for him? What honor have we bestowed onto him? And his servants are like, we didn't do anything. And he's like, what? Nah, we got to do something about that. So Haman, right? Haman comes in and the king asks him a question. The question was, let me talk to you real quick. What do you think we should do for a man of honor? So Haman, he's directly under the king. He doesn't think of Mordecai. He's thinking, oh, he's talking about me. So he starts gassing it up. Oh, we should give him the finest linens, the finest garment, give him the king's horse with the finest apparel. He's gassing it up, thinking that it's about him. What he doesn't realize is he's actually talking about Mordecai. So the king's listening, like, okay, I hear you. And what does he do? He does all these things, but for Mordecai.
Right.
And Haman's just sitting there stuck like, damn. Okay. So now Mordecai gets dressed in the best apparel, gets the king's horse, the honor that he deserved, right, for saving the king's life. Now, we're getting closer to the meaning of the Feast of Purim, right? So at this time, matter of fact, what time is it? We got time. So we'll go to, let's see, where did he stop? We'll go to chapter 6. So the book of Esther, chapter 6. We'll start at verse 1. Let's start at verse 1. Just to finish up Esther. Let me know when you got it. Oh, Sly, what you got?
I got it.
Okay, you go ahead and read it.
The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 1.
Go ahead.
On that night could not the king sleep,
Right.
and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king.
Mm-hmm.
And it was found written that Mordecai had sold of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
Go
The
ahead.
king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman has come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
Okay, so let's stop right there. So this pretty much just goes over everything that I was talking about. Now, again, Haman, right? Haman wanted to kill Mordecai and all the Jews with the gallows. The gallows, you know what a gallows is? Brother, you know what the gallows is? So a gallows, you ever seen like them old Western movies? And they're like, it'll be like a wooden podium, and they'll have the nooses. They'll put them on there. It's like put in display for everybody, and they'll like press a button or kick the floor underneath them. It goes away, and then they get hung.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what a gallows is. Okay, so that's what he's plotting to do to Mordecai, right? So let's see. Go to verse 5. You got it?
God.
Go ahead.
And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court.
Mm-hmm.
And the king said, let him come in.
Mm-hmm.
So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor?
Right.
Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
So this is going back to what I was speaking of earlier. Haman doesn't understand that he's talking about Mordecai. He thinks of himself so honorable, like, oh, the king obviously must be talking about me, so let me gas him up. So go ahead, go to verse 8.
Oh, sorry. Let the royal apparel be brought which the king used to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon,
Mm-hmm.
and the crown royal which is set upon his head.
Right. Go ahead.
And let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that that they may array the man withal whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor.
Keep reading.
Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
So again, he thought that he was talking about himself. He was talking about Mordecai. So you got to imagine how Haman must have felt. Remember, he wanted to kill Mordecai for not bowing down to him. Now, little did he know, he just pretty much gassed up Mordecai in a sense, because he didn't realize that Mordecai was actually the one that told Esther about, let's see, what was it? Bigthana and Teresh. Bigthana and Teresh were the chamberlains that were holding guard with the doors, and they were plotting to conspire against the king. Now, because of that, now he's going to get this great honor. Now, let's see. Let's skip down to, okay, go to chapter 7, verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen.
Right.
And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
Okay, so right here, Esther. Okay, so Esther, you got to understand, like, she's the queen, right? She can pretty much damn near have anything that she wants. It even said that the king was going to give her half of the kingdom. All she had to do was ask for it. Now, right here, this shows the character of Esther. Because, again, going back to the sellouts that we were talking about before, you know, Kanye West, all that stuff, his celebrities. A lot of times with our people, right, we're used to coming from the ghettos. We're used to coming from broken homes, not really having much, working 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. We got kids to take care of, family to feed, right? Now, all of a sudden, boom, we get all this money. And now we damn near don't even know what to do with it. And we start indulging in all these things. And a lot of times, I'm pretty sure you've seen the celebrities, they forget about their people. It's that mindset of, well, I mean, I got out of the ghetto, so why can't you do it? You understand? Esther did not have that kind of spirit. Even though she was in a very high status, she still cared for her people, because she could have said nothing. She could have never told the king that she was a Jew. She could have never revealed that she was related to Mordecai. She could have just said, okay, well, you know, they can die, but I'm going to be fine because, you know, I'm with the king. Esther didn't think like that, though, because she cared about her people. You understand? So that just shows the character of her. So let's see. Let's go to verse 5.
The book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
So now the king is asking her, okay, so you telling me that all this is about to happen to your people now. She's telling them that my people are about to die. There's been a hit put out on them. So now he's wondering, okay, well, who is it? So go ahead, keep reading.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
So now, to do a quick recap, Haman is sitting with Esther and the king right now as she's explaining this. So you got to imagine how he's feeling, like, oh, damn. Like the king, like, picture, this is Haman, this is the king, and Esther's sitting right there. And she's sitting face to face telling him. And now Haman is shaking because he realizes what's happening right now. Because remember, this is the same king that was willing to give half of the kingdom to Esther if she wanted to. So now that she's telling him the man that's conspiring to not just kill Mordecai, but her entire people, because again, she was a Jew, you got to imagine how he felt. So now everything's coming full circle now. So let's see. You can go to, let's see, you can go to verse 8.
The book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Keep reading.
And Harbonah, say that right?
Harbona. You too are.
And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
So you got to think, those gallows that we spoke of earlier, those were meant for Mordecai. Now Haman is about to get hanged on the very thing that he made to hang Mordecai. Go ahead, keep reading to verse 10.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai.
Yep.
Then was the king's wrath pacified.
There you go. So now Haman's he's been dealt with now. Haman's out of there. You understand? So now go to chapter 8, verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews, enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
So now Mordecai took Haman's spot. Because of the good deed that he did for the king, and now that Haman's gone, he's been dealt with. Now Mordecai, the man who refused to bow down to Haman, now he took his spot, and now he's second in command under the king. So you can go ahead and keep reading verse 2.
Can you start at verse 2 again?
Slide it, my fault. Verse 3, slide it.
And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, if it please the king, and if I had found favor in his sight, and the thing seemed right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him that they had hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse.
Okay, so just a quick recap real quick. So the hit that Haman put out, right? He sent out letters throughout all the city, right? Saying that he wanted the Jews exterminated, like a bounty, pretty much. He was going to pay a handsome amount of money to people who are willing to exterminate the Jews. So these were the letters that were sent out. So now what Esther did, she told the king, like, hey, even though, Mordecai is good, I'm good. What about the rest of my people? Again, showing the character of Esther. So now what the king did, he reversed all the letters. He sent out, what was it, the ring? Was it the ring that he did? Salakia. It's like a pendant that he puts on for Salakia, go ahead, sir.
I'm interrupt you. It's the ring that Haman had.
Right.
They gave that ring to him.
Right. Okay, so throughout, sir. So pretty much he's reversing everything, right? So now all these letters are being sent out to the city to pretty much get rid of this bounty. So now the Jews are now going to be safe. You could actually skip all the way down, go to verse 9, go to, not verse 9, chapter 9. You can go to, you can start at verse 1, chapter 9, verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar,
Mm-hmm.
and the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them.
You go.
The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their heart, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
So now, if I could, real quick. So this is Hebrews in power, if that makes sense. So now you got to remember, these people were willing to harm Mordecai and the Jews, but now that Mordecai is in office, I guess if you want to put it like that, and he has won the king's favor, now the Jews are going to be fighting back towards the people that were willing to harm them. So let's see, you can keep going to, let's see, skip down to, go to verse 5.
Book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they with unto those that hated them. And the Shushan, and in Shushan, the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men.
Okay, you can skip down to verse 10.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 10. The 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan, the palace was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition, and it shall be granted thee? Or what is thy request further, and it shall be done?
So you can stop right there real quick. So like I said, this is Hebrews fighting back. This is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians fighting back against the people that were going to kill them. You understand? And I know that's kind of hard for some people to wrap their heads around today, because you look at today and we're very divided. When I say we, I ain't talking about the ISUPK. Here we love each other, but brothers and sisters out there, they don't give a damn about one another. You've seen it. We've all seen. We see it every damn day. They don't care. We have a very selfish mentality, right? We're so worried about, well, I'm gonna get what's mine. You know, you might have like one or two brothers around you that you say you care about, but half the time they're willing to turn on you too. I mean, hey, look, we've all seen it. We've all seen it, right? But there's no sense of unity, right? Now, if I could real quick, Priest Officer Thabon brought us something real heavy yesterday. So you could read all throughout the book of Esther, right? When you read damn near any other book in the Bible, you're gonna see the Lord, right? The Lord is going to say something like, the Lord said to do this, or the Lord had his hand on this, right? In the book of Esther, you don't see that. You don't see the Lord at all throughout the book of Esther. Now, this is real heavy because Mordecai and Esther had faith. They had faith in the Most High, and the Lord was with them. Even when you can't really see the Lord, if that makes sense. Like, the Lord will show his hand here and there, like, oh, that was the Lord, right? Like, perfect example, I drove here today, and there was like 2 car accidents, and it was snowing. I was just telling Peace and Officer Oscar Ward, it was like snowing all through the mountains and stuff. People sliding all over the place, and well, I'm still here. I didn't get into a car crash, and I know that was the Lord, because it was looking a little hectic out there, and I was getting a little nervous, but Most High in Christ, I'm here to teach class today. And all of you are here today also. That's the Lord. The Lord wants you to be here, right? Throughout here, you don't see the Lord. However, going back, right, to chapter 6, it says the king, he awoke that night, right? That night that he awoke, or the Slakia, that night that he couldn't fall asleep, Slakia, was the very same night where Haman was going to send out the letters to kill the Jews. But the king just so happened to wake up that night and remembered Mordecai on that night. That was the Lord. There's no such thing as a coincidence, right? The Lord wanted the king to wake up that night so that he can look into the records and remember what Mordecai did for him. Hence why everything fell through, because the Lord was with Mordecai and he was with Esther. So you got to have faith, right? Because if you ain't got faith, you ain't got nothing. You really don't. If you don't believe that the Most High is a real living power, you have a sense of hopelessness. And that's what our people have today. We have a sense of hopelessness because we don't know what to believe. People out there, they believe in zodiac signs. That's what they believe. What'd you say? Card reading. Was it psychics? That's what they think. I know Salagia. I know there's a lot of sisters in the world that think, oh, I'm single because I'm a Pisces and I'm a moon sign and all that garbage. No, you're single because you're a whore and you cheat on your man and you have mental issues and you need help. Same thing with brothers. Brothers, like going again, they don't have faith in God. They have faith in people like Kanye West and Young Dolph. Young Dolph is dead, by the way. He's dead. He lived his life a gangster and got shot up at a cookie joint buying cookies. That is not a joke. That's really what happened.
And the funny thing is, the guy that shot and killed him looked like him, just a little heavy.
Brothers killing brothers. We have no sense of unity, right? You got to have faith in the Most High. You got to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. That's the only way you're going to have any type of unity. Because if you don't, you're going to listen to what other people tell you to do. It's like, what's the Krabashah, you got that? What's that precept? You can't serve two masters. It's like, yeah. If I may, real quick. Man, I might actually have it in my phone. Slack, yeah. I got it right here. Go to Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, if I could. The book of Matthew chapter 6, verse 24.
The book of Matthew chapter 6, verse 24.
Go ahead.
No man can serve two masters.
Right.
For either he will hate the one and love the other.
Either he will hate the one and love the other. So here's the thing that we got to understand as Israelites, right? I got you 1 second, brother. Oh, no, you need the precept?
The verse.
So book of Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Mm-hmm. So this is what we got to understand as the children of Israel, right? You are a servant. We are servants. Our whole reason for living is to serve the Most High. However, if you don't serve the Most High, you're going to be serving somebody else, like Valentine's Day. What was it? Aphrodite and Eros, Cupid, all that garbage, those false Greek gods that the white man made up. That's who you're going to serve. When you choose to get high, when you choose to have sex with another man's woman, when you choose to eat pork, shrimp, lobster, and crab, when you choose to kill your brother because he stepped on your J's at the club, right? Or he looked at you funny. Let's see. Contact the dead. Taking any smoke. I don't know what that is. Slagia. But my whole point being is you're going to serve somebody else, right? You can't serve two masters. Either you're going to hate the one and love the other. You go ahead and keep reading that for me, Baba Kasha. You can just continue.
Or else he will hold to the one and despise the other.
Right.
You cannot serve God and mammon.
Mammon. Pretty much, you can't serve God and man. You can't serve both. Either you're going to serve God or you're going to serve man. And that's what a lot of brothers and sisters do today. They serve man. They serve Esau. All those things that I spoke of, when you choose to lie and steal and kill and get high and do drugs and be an alcoholic and homosexual and all that stuff, you serve the white man. You understand? Now here, Esther and Mordecai, they did not serve the white man, if that makes sense. They served the Most High, and because of that, the Most High was with them throughout all this, because they could have easily died. Like when you read the Bible, you see all the things that we went through, being in captivity, being slaughtered, being murdered, all the things that happened throughout history, being hanged, enslaved, hosed down, tarred and feathered, okay, tied at the ends of horses and dragged through the street or cars. Horrible things, you understand? But we're still here because of the Most High. If it wasn't for God, we'd be dead. I just want everybody to understand that. Okay? Don't take this lightly. You understand? What happened right here, this is just one of the few records in the Bible that shows what happens when you have the Most High with you. If you ain't got the Most High with you, you are one car crash away from death. You are one stroke, one heart attack away from dying, or good night. It could be somebody else that you care about. It doesn't necessarily got to be you. Remember, King David, he was a great brother, don't get me wrong, but he sinned also. He committed adultery, and because of that, the Most High took his child away from him. Didn't kill King David, but he did kill his child. So keep that in mind. It's not always necessarily about you. There's more than one way to kill you. It doesn't have to kill you physically, kill you spiritually. You understand? Let's see. You can skip that. Let's see. Go to. Let's see. You can go to chapter 9. Go to chapter 9, verse 31.
Matthew 9 and 31.
Slagia, the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 31.
The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 31. To confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed, the matters of the fastings and their cry.
Go, keep going.
And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
Keep reading.
Chapter 10, verse 1.
Chapter 10, verse 1. Yeah.
And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land, and upon the isles,
Yep.
and upon the isles of the sea, in all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings, Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto the king Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed.
So it's just going over the history of Purim, right? This is what we honor to this day. And if I could real quick, I wanted to say something about the relationship between Mordecai and Esther. Now, here's another big issue. Let's see. I believe it's Ecclesiasticus. Let me see. Give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 14, I believe. It could be that one. But the reason why I want to go over this is because Esther did a great thing, right? She did an amazing thing. She stuck up for her people. But how did she do this, though? How did Esther accomplish these things? If anybody wants to take a stab at it. What you got, brother?
I think it's like you said earlier, they had faith in the Lord, her Mordecai.
Okay.
Doesn't quote the Lord in this chapter.
Okay. Yes, you're not wrong, but that's not the answer I'm looking for.
What was the question again?
So specifically the relationship between Esther and Mordecai. What was it? How was Esther able to do all these great things? Now, remember, Mordecai was a father figure to her. So go ahead.
By her obedience?
Yes, that's pretty much what I'm getting to. And let's see, anybody got Ecclesiastes chapter 26, verse 14?
Kind of,
Okay, go ahead and read that for me. That might be the one I'm looking for.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
A mind well instructed. So I got you, brother. So that's Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 14. So if you could read it one more time, Baba Kasha.
Come on. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord.
Right.
And there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
A mind well instructed. That was Esther. Esther had a mind well instructed because she listened to, I'll just say her father, right? Mordecai was her father figure.
Okay.
So she listened to her father, right? She listened to the man above her. This is what sisters in the world don't understand. You understand? Sisters in the world have been taught by America that you can have dominion over your man. You can tell him what to do. You can rule over him. Now, here's the thing, though. What brothers also have to understand is the role that we have. We are supposed to guide and love and protect our women. So we have to set the status. You understand? You can't sit here. I tell this to brothers all the time, right? You can't sit here and get upset when your daughter turns out to be a whore when she gets older while you love whores. Because believe it or not, kids always watch you. They might not always know what's going on, but they're watching everything you do. So let's just say, you as a father, if you're showing your daughter that you got different women coming in and out of the house all the time, right? And you just good night buying whores and stuff like that, your daughter is going to see that. And she's going to think, okay, well, this is what a man likes. So I'm going to be what a man likes. I'm going to be a whore. I'm going to get an OnlyFans account. I got you 1 second, brother. I'm going to have an OnlyFans account. I'm going to go on TikTok and IG and Facebook and Twitter, and I'm going to show my behind and do this, that, and the third. The whole point is she's doing that because she was taught to do that. Brothers got to understand, you got to cut all that nonsense out. If you want your woman to listen to you, you got to set the example. Also, sisters, if your man is setting the example, listen to him, right? Because he's trying to help you. That's the whole point. Sisters in the world, brothers in the world, they don't get that. That's why you see all these relationships fail in America, in the Black and Hispanic community. What they call it, the hookup generation. They'll have sex. They'll do that. You'll catch a whole bunch of bodies throughout the week, and then you're still alone on Valentine's Day. But go ahead, brother. I know you had your hand up.
No, you took the word right out of my mouth. I'm gonna say, to vouch for what you were saying, I was gonna say, the best way to lead is by example.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to, if you have daughters or whatever,
Right.
you want to set the tone.
Exactly. Because the thing is, it all starts at home, right? When you have a good relationship with your woman, you understand, and your kids see that, okay, this is how daddy treats mommy and mommy treats daddy. This is the structure within the household. You understand? Your kids are going to see that, right? Now, based off of whether it's good or bad, hopefully it's good, right? If you follow the law, statutes, and commandments, it's going to be good. So now let's say you got a son. Your son is going to see, first and foremost, his father, okay, this is how my dad is. Okay, he moves like this, he talks like this, he walks like this, he's disciplined, he's not really emotional like that, he knows how to control himself, he knows how to lead. He's going to see that, and you as the father, you're going to teach that to your son. So now he's going to grow up to be just like you. Also, the son is also going to see his mother, and he's going to see how his mother is. Now, this is very important because now he's going to gauge women off of how his mother treats his father. Because if his mother is a sweet, kind woman, right, very loving to her husband, not paying attention to other men and things like that, she honors her husband, he's gonna be like, okay, well, I need to get me a woman that will love me the way my mom loves my dad. But if you grow up in a dysfunctional household, right, and let's say you have a father who's selling drugs, right, or he's out in the streets gangbanging, or you got a mother who has different men inside of the house all the time, what do you think your kids are gonna do? they're going to follow that.
Right.
That's why it's very important to get in this truth and stop celebrating things like Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is a myth. That's like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and all that garbage. You tell that to your kids. We don't tell that to our kids in here, you understand? Because we know that that's all garbage. But it's a fairy tale. It's make-believe. You got kids following fairy tales their whole damn life. And you keep doing it when you're an adult, when you celebrate these pagan holidays. Now you're just a big kid. You understand? But Salakia, going back to Esther and Mordecai, yes, Esther had a mind that was well instructed. She listened to what her father figure told her to do, and because of that, they saved the Jews. She saved the people. Now imagine if she didn't. What would have became of the other Jews? What would have became of Mordecai? What would have became of her? You understand? But she listened. That was the good thing about it. But Salakia. But you got any questions about anything before we end the class?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Twab, what you got, Karam Shah?
Salakia, so I was just gonna piggyback off what you were saying.
Oh no, go ahead.
Basically, what? Just like what is it? Proverbs 22:6.
Go ahead.
Train up the child where he should go and everything. Esther, Mordecai did that for Esther for sure.
Most High in Christ. No, you're right. That's exactly what Mordecai did for Esther.
Okay.
Hence, another reason why we need Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian fathers.
That's
All right, fathers are important. Okay, mothers are important, right? Because you're going to raise up the next generation, and if you want to raise them up wisely, you'll come into the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana.
That's
All right. So with that, if there are no questions. All right. So with that, we'll close the class. I'll hand the class over to Priest and Officer Ash Kawar.
We got the prayers right there. The Lord's Prayer.
I do. We do the Lord's Prayer and we do the blessings.
You know how to read the Hebrew?
Come on, so I got it.
And of Israel, a Majim, like walking the Majim, means stand in the ancient Hebrew. We're going to start and face the east. Panya Hakwadam.
All right, so
Panya meaning face, Hakwadam, the east. So like that.
Late 12, sir. All right, so we getting started with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba Ratazah, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Latanyanawa, Lakum, Call, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawakinawa, Wala'ah, Tabayanawa, Banasaiwan, Abal, Hawashinawa, Mayun, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'atapara, Lawalumyam, Amun. Now the Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not. Into temptation. But deliver us. From evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. Now doing the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh. Wa Yahweh Shai. Wa Mayaka Allah. Wa Alahayim. Matazab Ya'ah. Alawap Yahana. Ha Alawapyim. Ha Sarunyam. Ha Kwatazayoyin. Haka Yayoyin. Waha Akwathian. Yahweh. Ba'ashem. Yahushai. The water. Amen. Now the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yohanan.
Commanding General Yohanan.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Aqua, you may be seated. Men of Israel, we're going to face the teacher. No, sorry, face the teacher. We're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amijah Shabbat, Amijah, Barak.
Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Brakathum.
We're going to sorry face the sisters. Prophet Nathan. Now we're going to give one courtesy salute to the Aquafi, men of Israel. Amijah Shabbat, Amijah, Barak.
Yahweh Shamar Latah Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai.
Yadi Matah, dismiss.
When you coming back again, brother?